What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack-A-Day Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can follow the podcast at Pack-A-Day Podcast. I hope your holiday weekend is treating you well. We are 1 week away from 7 hours of commercial-free football. We have Thursday night football, Friday night Packer game, college on Saturday, Red Zone on Sunday, Monday night football. We are entering the home stretch. It is almost here. We have been waiting so patiently, and now it is game week. I hope you are all as excited as I am. We've got a lot to get into today. We'll get into Packers-Eagles as we get closer to the week. I'm excited to break down the Eagles. We'll do a full scouting report. We'll bring on some guests. It's going to be a ton of fun. Today, we're going to be going over the Packers rookie class. I'll describe why in just a moment. I kind of just want to do a check-in as to all of these rookies, what we can expect for them this season, and what we can kind of expect from them going into week one, specifically against the Eagles. So that in just a moment. Before we get there, shout out to all of our brand new Pack-A-Day Podcast YouTube members: Income Options Trading, Zach Slaby, John Hurd, John Vosters, Sharu Pack, Rick Harris, GoldX, Josiah Gidley, and our brand new Hall of Fame member, Jay Zimmerman. Thank you all so much for signing up. Extra shout out to Jay for doing the Hall of Fame version. If you have not yet checked out those Pack-A-Day Podcast memberships, now is a great time to do so. You get access to our Pack-A-Day members only Pick'em League, which is going to be a ton of fun. You're also going to get members only content, exclusive Q&As, and of course, early access to all videos as well. So make sure to check out those Pack-A-Day Podcast YouTube memberships. And again, thank you to everyone who has recently signed up or anyone who has ever signed up. You guys are the absolute best. So as mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the Packers rookie class. We're just going to kind of be doing a checkup. And the reason why I wanted to do this today is, one, I think it's always kind of fun and interesting to see the progress report of these rookies as we kind of go through rookie mini camps and then training camp. And then we head into the season, and we'll probably do a midway check, somewhere midway through the year, and kind of see where these rookies are at again. But I've received a lot of questions in the Q&As about a lot of these rookies recently. Is Jordan Morgan going to be the starter at right guard in week one? Will Edgerrin Cooper have a role in this defense right away? Is MarShawn Lloyd going to play right away? What's Evan Williams' role going to be if he doesn't get the starting job and it's Javon Bullard that's starting next to Xavier McKinney? I've seen a lot of buzz about Jacob Monk lately. Of course, they just released Michael Pratt. He's now a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there's a lot that's going on with these rookies. So I figured now again would be a great time to do sort of a status check on every single one of these. And again, kind of expectations that we should go into this season with for this entire rookie class. And again, what maybe we can look for early in the season, specifically week one against the Eagles. So let's start with Jordan Morgan. It's an interesting sort of journey for Jordan already. First round pick, left tackle. He's only played left tackle. We all knew there's a lot of versatility here, that he could probably play multiple positions, although he only played left tackle in college. We also know that Green Bay loves spending first round picks on premium position players. Now, we can make an argument, and we normally would, that tackle, premium position. Guard, not usually considered that premium position. So you kind of had this an idea that maybe Green Bay would have really liked Jordan Morgan to play tackle. But Rasheed Walker settles into left tackle. Zach Tom's not going anywhere at right tackle. And the clear and obvious opportunity for Jordan Morgan was at right guard. Now he comes into rookie minicamp and OTAs and minicamps, and they play him tackle, guard, left side, right side. They play him all over the place, 4 different positions. And it was a massive struggle. It was a very clear and obvious, just overwhelmed. And you could see him thinking, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. I'm not trying to drag him here. It's just when you are trying to all of a sudden learn 4 positions in the NFL all at once, that's a lot to ask. And you could almost tell that maybe Green Bay had a realization of, hey, we need to sort of pare this down a little bit. Not, again, anything disparaging towards Jordan, just we need to focus this in a little bit. And I think they recognized Rasheed wasn't going anywhere. Elton wasn't going anywhere. Josh Myers wasn't going anywhere. Zach Tom's not going anywhere. The only opportunity for Jordan to probably come in and start was going to be at right guard. And then you fast forward a little bit, you get to training camp, and I thought Jordan really hit the ground running. And once he got to actually focus on right guard, it looked like he was kind of coming into his own. And I'll just be real. I think he was the clear and obvious favorite to be the starting right guard up until he gets injured. And he goes out for a few weeks. And at that time, Sean Ryan really takes advantage of the extra reps with the starters at right guard and really performs much better through the remainder of camp than he had up until that point. And Matt LaFleur brought up some of the conditioning and stuff and things like that with Sean Rhyan again. And it seemed like that was a non-factor moving forward. It seemed like he was in good shape. Matt LaFleur was extremely complimentary of Ryan. And in the meantime, we just haven't been able to see Jordan Morgan at all. And I asked Matt LaFleur, because I know some people had, proposed this. I had talked about it. I said, hey, do you think there's a world in which Jordan Morgan and Sean Rhyan could rotate similar to what Runyon and Ryan did last year, or similar to what Elton Jenkins and Lane Taylor started with when Elton Jenkins first came into the league? And he said, kind of like the way that you're thinking. And he said, I don't know. We'll see. Everything's on the table, all those sort of things. But I do get the feel that at some point we could see a right guard rotation. Maybe that's in week 1. Maybe we see, in a 65 snap game, maybe we see 20 snaps of Jordan Morgan and 45 of Sean Rhyan. That would not surprise me at all. I do wonder, week 1 in Brazil against a really tough Philadelphia interior, if maybe Sean Rhyan just doesn't get the call for that game. I think he's going to start Sean Rhyan in that game no matter what. I would be mostly surprised if Jordan Morgan all of a sudden lines up at starting right guard in week 1. But it would not shock me if there was a rotation, but I think Sean Rhyan might just take that, at least the majority of it, the first week. And then you maybe kind of work him in from there. But that's going to be his opportunity. I do think Jordan Morgan is going to have a fairly significant impact on this upcoming season. If let's just say he doesn't start and you have your starters left to right, Rashid Jenkins, Myers, Sean Rhyan, and Zach Tom. Jordan Morgan is probably your first guy up almost no matter what. I can't say that 1,000,000% for sure because it just depends on their appetite. If Rasheed Walker goes down, do they want to put Jordan Morgan at left tackle? Do they want to put Elton at left tackle and put Jordan at left guard? There's some other ways that they could go about it as well, but do they want to kick one of their players out to left tackle? Including, again, that could be Jordan Morgan as well. Same thing with right tackle, right? If Zach Tom goes down, do you want to put an Elton Jenkins out there? Do you want to put Jordan Morgan out there? Those are questions that I can't say for sure. Maybe at left tackle, they decide it's just going to be Andre Dillard. Maybe at right tackle, they decide it's going to be Kadeem Telfort. I don't know. I don't know what they'll decide there. But it's very clear if their effort is to get their best 5 guys on the offensive line, that no matter who goes out, their next best guy up would be Jordan Morgan, assuming he doesn't start from day 1. And we can probably say with some level of certainty that the odds that Rasheed Walker, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Sean Rhyan, and Zach Tom, all 5 play every single snap through the entirety of the year are probably fairly slim. That's a tough ask. And we know you're going to need your depth through the course of the season. So I would expect, again, no matter who starts week 1, and again, even then, I think Jordan Morgan's going to get some playing time there. If not week 1, then probably soon thereafter. He's going to have an impact on this year because he's going to be a primary depth piece along the offensive line, and they're going to need him to step up and be that guy. Now, the question will remain, can he step up and just take that job from Sean Rhyan? And I don't know the answer to that right now. I think at some point, there's a very good chance that that happens. Is it year 1? I don't know. Is it week 1? Probably not. So I really liked, again, it was the roller coaster here is in OTAs and mini camps. I thought he really, really struggled trying to do multiple positions. Then he looked much more natural. Right guard, looked confident, comfortable. Still obviously work to do, job not done, but he looked so much more comfortable at that spot and just kind of focusing on one position. Looked like he was going to be the starter, had the injury. Sean Rhyan played well. And with him not being able to do a ton of team stuff, and I don't know now if he's back doing team stuff because we didn't get full access to that. But up until that point where we lost access to that, he was still not doing team stuff. So that's going to have to kind of be a question of over the course of this next, less than a week, can Jordan earn that spot back? I think right now, again, it looks far more likely that Sean Rhyan will be your starter. But as mentioned, Jordan Morgan still expected to have a rather, I think, probably significant role on this season in some capacity. Edgerrin Cooper's a little bit tougher, right? He's been out almost the entirety of training camp. You could tell even OTAs and mini camp that, again, somebody that is still learning the defense, going through the process. We had that awesome story from Matt LaFleur, how I think was it rookie mini camp or one of the OTAs? I think it was one of the OTAs where Matt drew up a play specifically to mess with Edgerrin Cooper, basically saying, we got a rookie out there. We're going to throw this at him. He's going to take the bait. And we're going to end up with a big play. And he didn't take the bait. And he went with the play. He read his keys. He knew what he was supposed to do, so much so that Matt went to the defensive coaches and said, hey, come on, guys. Did you give him a heads up on what was coming? They're like, no, we didn't. He just knew it. And that's really impressive for a young rookie when you have a very bright head coach who knows how to plant some eye candy and get that linebacker flowing in one direction so you can come back the other way and expose him. And Cooper was just all over it. And why that is so important. One, linebacker is a very instinctual position. You have to have really strong instincts in order to play that position at a high level in the NFL. But the second reason is you take his pure, raw, unadulterated speed and physicality and quickness and agility, and now you put the brains to it, right? And you put that ability to understand what an offense is trying to do. And like now you've got the makings of something potentially special. Unfortunately, up until this point in camp, we didn't get to see any of it for the most part. Up until, maybe the first few days or something like that. But ever since then, that was it. And now the question becomes, how much of an impact can he make early in this year? I think at some point he will. I think at some point they're going to want to get him a little bit more playing time. And I think at some point they're going to need him to figure out ways that they can just get him on the field and allow his playmaking and explosiveness to sort of win out and be a weapon for this defense. Now, here's how I kind of see that happening to begin with. He is a phenomenal blitzer. I would expect them to put him in some blitz packages. I would expect him to be in some packages where maybe you have to spy the quarterback, specifically these first couple weeks. Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson. I can think of few people who I would maybe rather have as a QB spy with that pure speed at linebacker than Edgerrin Cooper. So I could see them fitting in that. And I think there's maybe some other just things that they could probably work him in at with some more maybe, simplified coverages and nothing too crazy. But I do think there's a couple things here. One, I think it's smart to kind of take it where you don't have to go in and play 60 snaps right away from week one, especially with the time that he missed. This is a really difficult position to play as a rookie, and we've kind of seen this over the years with a lot of these super talented young rookie linebackers. Even Quay is another great example of that. I think, these guys, yes, it takes reps, but you don't want to kind of put them out there too fast and too soon. And I think Green Bay's taking their time. I think there will be packages. I think he will be active right away, assuming that he's healthy and good enough to go, which I think he will be by week one. And I think he'll also make an impact on special teams. And then the hope is that he plays well in those limited opportunities as he gets some specific packages in there. And then once you do that, then you expand and you hopefully take more and more until hopefully at some point he's that starting nickel linebacker alongside Quay Walker. Number 3, Javon Bullard. This is, or their second round pick, if you will. It's probably one of the easier ones. He's going to be the starting safety next to Xavier McKinney. Would certainly seem all indications are pointing that way. But I also think we're going to see him in the slot and some big nickel. We'll talk about more on that in another safety conversation in just a moment. But the fact that he can play in the nickel, that he can play safety, he can play in the box, he can play post, he can do pretty much anything that you ask him to, that's going to make him a very large asset next to Xavier McKinney. And I think those two are going to pair together extremely well. And again, I'll say one more time, the ability for him to line up in the slot and just give Green Bay and Jeff Hafley more versatility, that's going to be massively important also. So I love this situation for Javon Bullard. I think he's got an opportunity to make a massive impact from day one and on the entirety of the season. Yes, he's a rookie, but he plays fast. He plays instinctive. He is not afraid of anything. He will come up and hit. He will come up and fill the alley. Like I enjoy watching Javon Bullard play football already. I think you guys are going to as well. It is a rookie season, right? So, there's going to be some hiccups along the way, but could not be more excited about what Javon Bullard's going to bring. And he's probably in the best position to make the biggest impact of all the rookies from day one. Next is MarShawn Lloyd. Is he going to be ready to go for week one? I think that's going to be the big question, right? And then from there, what can he bring to this offense? Man, in mini camps and OTAs, he looked phenomenal. He was a little jitterbug out there. He was cutting and juking and jiving and just doing everything he could to make people miss, get into space, and make explosive plays. And he was really good at it. And then the pads come on. You can tell, he still has to work on blitz pickup a little bit. You could tell that, I think the defenders were starting to maybe understand, some of his jukes and cuts a little bit more, and, how he kind of maybe likes to cut it outside sometimes. And I don't think he struggled, but it was a little bit different. Wasn't maybe quite as explosive as what we saw with the pads off. But we also saw some big time runs early. And then he had that preseason game. He had that one run that he bounced to the outside. And then, of course, he had a hamstring injury. And that's been limiting him ever since. He was the only player that seemingly did not practice at the last practice last week. Or that was open to the media, at least the stretch period. And, I think there's a really good chance that for week 1, he is not active. That you could see Josh Jacobs as the 1, Emmanuel Wilson as the 2, and then maybe they call up somebody like an Ellis Merriweather to be the 3 in that game. In fact, I think that's a very distinct possibility. But MarShawn Lloyd has every opportunity still to make a massive impact on this season. I think he will work his way into that number 2 running back spot sooner rather than later. Maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But I think in the first half of this year, he will already have made his way into that number 2 back. And I think he and Josh Jacobs have the ability to complement each other so insanely well. And that is a tandem that I cannot wait to see. And I think you can see a lot of MarShawn Lloyd and Josh Jacobs in the same backfield together too. And both of them have the ability to actually catch the ball out of the backfield, be dynamic playmakers that way. And I think that will open up some of those 2 running back set packages, maybe more than what Jones and Dillon were in previous years. So very excited still about MarShawn Lloyd, but just needs to get healthy, get back on the field, and then hopefully win that number 2 job over Emmanuel Wilson and be that dynamic runner that I think we all believe he has the ability to become. Next up is Tyron Hopper. Tyron Hopper probably is going to be linebacker 5. I think he's going to be a really nice depth piece at linebacker where, hey, if some of these guys get hurt and he needs to go in, I think you feel comfortable and confident that he can be one of those guys that goes and plays for you and you're not freaking out. I think he's going to have to make his name on special teams to start, and that's probably going to be his primary role, but he's probably going to be active on game days, and he's probably going to get a lot of opportunities if there are injuries to go in and prove himself. And when he gets those opportunities, he'll need to make the most of it. But I thought he had a nice preseason, some coverage things that he needs to clean up, but he's a downhill attacking linebacker, just like we saw on tape in college. And he's a very, very talented guy that I think will work his way into this starting lineup for Green Bay at some point down the road. But for right now, there's no need to rush him. They've got veterans out there. They've still got an Edgerrin Cooper as well. They can take their time, let him focus on special teams, let him continue to master his craft. And then hopefully in 2025, when maybe you lose an Isaiah McDuffie and an Eric Wilson, can next year be Quay, Hopper, and Cooper as your primary 3 in 2025. Evan Williams is the next one. And while I think Evan Williams did everything he could to try to earn that starting safety spot next to Xavier McKinney, it certainly looks like Javon Bullard is going to be the choice there. And with that in mind, I just think that Evan Williams has done far too much to get on the field, and that they're not just going to keep him on special teams and be like, we've got our defenders set. I think that they will find ways to get him on the field. And I think there's a couple ways that you can do that. First of all, I believe he will be in dime, meaning I think it'll be Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney at safety with Bullard and Nixon in the slot with Jair and Eric Stokes on the outside. So I think that's a great way to get Evan Williams in. And then when we see that big nickel as well, when Javon Bullard does go in the slot with Jair and Stokes on the outside, then again, you've got Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams at safety. So super excited about what he brought to the table in training camp and in preseason. He's been massively impressive, master communicator on the back end, constantly talking, constantly working with his teammates to make sure everyone's in the right spot and lined up correctly, everything like that. He looks like a veteran out there despite being a rookie. And that's going to be something that helps him a ton as he transitions from college into the NFL. And it just feels like he's been here for 5 years already. That's a massive compliment to somebody who, as a rookie, is coming in and has the ability to, I think, contribute at a pretty high level. And it should also go to speak, by the way, of how good Javon Bullard has been, because Evan Williams, I think, would have beat out a ton of people for that potential job, but Javon Bullard has been able to stave him off so far. We'll see if that remains, but I think for now, both Bullard and Evan Williams are going to have fairly significant roles on this team. Next up is Jacob Monk. A lot of buzz about Jacob Monk. I saw a lot of people posting he's going to be a stud, that he tore it up in preseason. I really like Jacob Monk. I think he's going to be one of these Packers that's probably around for a while. I think he has the ability to develop into a starting guard or a starting center. I think he's got great versatility on the interior. I would just say for some of those who are over the top excited, be excited. I think he's going to be a nice player, but I don't think he's there quite yet. He had some ups and downs in preseason. I think more ups than downs, but also playing against number 2s and number 3s for the most part. He's not seeing a lot of, Justin Matabuike's and Chris Jones's out there in preseason. And there was a reason he was a 5th round pick. There's a reason why he was just kind of okay in college. Like, he still has a long way to go to develop. Do I think he can be a starter down the road? I absolutely do. I think he very much has that ability within him. And like I said, I'm very excited. I like Jacob Monk a lot. Sometimes we I swear, pump people up just to tear them down. And let's just give Jacob Monk the time that he needs to develop into the interior offensive lineman that I think he can become, because I think he's going to be really good. But for anyone that's out there right now being like, yep, he should be starting right now or anything, I would pump the brakes just a little bit. He's a nice player. I wouldn't put him quite in the immediate starter category as a 5th round pick, but I do think he's got a very bright future ahead of him. And I'm excited to see, if he does get action, what he can do. Hopefully they just stay healthy and we don't have to see a ton of Jacob Monk. But if we do, I think he'll be up to the task and will handle it very, very well. Kadynce LaPold is probably on a red shirt as a safety. Unless there's injuries, I think you're just going to see a lot of Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, and Xavier McKinney. What would happen after that with Zane Anderson? He does benefit from Anthony Johnson Jr. being gone. There's no question about that. But I think for the most part, they would love for him just to redshirt as a safety and be a core special teams guy in the meantime. And then that's going to be the big question: is his his ability to be active on game day is probably tied directly to his special teams ability. If they feel he can go out and play good special teams, he's going to be active on game day. If they feel like he can't, he might not be. So that's going to be a big determining factor, but I don't think you're going to see him have an impact on defense in year one. I do think you'll see him have an impact on special teams when active on the game day roster. Next is Travis Glover. This is going to be a redshirt season for Travis Glover. And I think if he's in there playing, things have probably gone wrong from a variety of different, injuries along the offensive line. That's not a knock on Glover. I think he's kind of the new developmental piece, just like Yash was in the past, and Caleb Jones and Alex Light. Some of those guys turn out, some of them do not. But I think he has the ability to. He's got a great size, and it's a little bit better, more functional size than maybe what a Caleb Jones was. But he moves pretty well. He will go out and absolutely attack people. I love him as a run blocker. I think he's going to be a prime candidate to be inactive on game days. In fact, I'd be pretty stunned if he wasn't, barring a bunch of injuries along the line. So again, don't expect him to come in and play these big minutes or be ready to go or anything like that. But he's a really smart player to keep on the roster as a developmental piece, because he does have a lot of talent at right tackle. And then your final two, your 7th round picks, Michael Pratt, gone. Done. He's in Tampa. And while Goody said they'd be interested in bringing him back at some point if the right situation emerged, I think we've probably seen the last of Michael Pratt in Green Bay. We'll see what he can do in Tampa Bay, and hopefully Green Bay doesn't ever regret that decision. And then Kalen King. This is one that maybe at the time felt like, oh my goodness, they made a huge mistake and Goody never should have cut him. Well, he was fine because he didn't get claimed. They got him back on the practice squad. No harm, no foul. Now he can develop on the practice squad. And then, if they need him, maybe like they needed Corey Ballantyne last year, they can call him up. They also have Robert Rochelle in the practice squad. So I would guess Rochelle gets called up before Kalen King, but you never quite know. Maybe dependent upon which corners get hurt. If it's a slot guy, maybe more likely to be Kalen King. If it's an outside, more likely to be Robert Rochelle. But either way, I do think that he has the ability to be a call up at some point and help this team. Maybe not again at a super high level, but I could see him playing they're different players, so this isn't apples to apples, but kind of the impact that Carrington Valentine had last year. I could see Kalen King having that similar type of impact if he ever got the opportunity to play in some of the games. And then last but not least, undrafted free agent Braden Narveson, the only undrafted free agent to make the 53. Obviously not Green Bay's UDFA, but he was a UDFA. Early returns on him at that open practice, or not open practice, but the practice that they did at Lambeau was that he was crushing field goals, that Jair really liked him. So kudos to Matt Schneidman in his interview with Coach LaFleur to get a little bit more insight on that. But apparently he made a very great first impression at that first practice at Lambeau Field. So he's going to be the kicker. And hopefully he remains the kicker for the foreseeable future, because that means things have gone very right for Brayden Narveson. The players who I think have the ability to make maybe the most immediate impact, Javon Bullard is number 1, Evan Williams is number 2, and then I would probably say Jordan Morgan as number 3, even if he doesn't start from day 1. So I think those are your impact guys right now. And then the hope is that Edgerrin Cooper, MarShawn Lloyd, especially those two, can really get a little bit more ingrained with the offense and defense respectively once they get healthy, fully good to go, and just kind of continue to make an impact for this team. I actually still really like this draft class. For now, we'll see what it brings when the regular season comes along, but you just need to get these guys healthy, get them a little bit more ingrained on each of their sides of the ball, and make sure that they are developing to be the players that they have the ability to become, because I think Goody did a really great job of maneuvering this draft, finding some really unique and talented individuals that fit within the scheme, that bring versatility. I think overall it's a great draft. We may not see a ton of impact week 1, right? I could see Javon Bullard being a big-time starter, Evan Williams getting some time, maybe Jordan Morgan gets some snaps, and then I'm sure some guys will get snaps on special teams. Certainly Brayden Narveson will be the kicker. But overall, I think this is still a developmental group, and I think you're looking at their best days being ahead of them, and that is okay, because this is a very deep and talented team right now in Green Bay. All right, that is going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are the absolute best. Remember to check out those memberships. Like, subscribe, comment, give those 5-star reviews. You're all freaking amazing. Thank you for making Pack-A-Day part of your daily routine. Shout out to our Hall of Fame and All-Pro members, Most Hated Minnesotan, PJ Wynn, John Wild, Shea Bradad, Brandon Paletta, Jennifer Wright, Boom Handle, Donald Lee, Lori Lord, Baby QB, David McCluskey, Donald Decker, Dan Miller, Alex Huang, Arnaldo Espinoza, Peter Ataka, Caleb Cookster, SoCal Pack, Dan Guessford, Love and Football, and Jay Zimmerman. I will see you guys soon, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.